Hello, everyone. Um, so, uh, thank you to Kelvin and Anaziva, and thank you for being here today. So, I will give you a background of the 8 pillars of positive peace. So, the Institute of Economics and Peace, or IEP, is a global think tank based in Sydney, Australia, with satellite offices all over the world. There's even one in Harare in Zimbabwe. So I think that's pretty cool. IEP has created 8 key elements, or as they call pillars, that comprise positive peace. So for some, this may be a new term, not just peace, but positive peace. What does that mean? So positive peace is not the absence of violence, as is commonly thought, but instead what the IEP says as attitudes, institutions, and structures that create and sustain positive societies. And so I will go through all 8 pillars and point out to you the 4 that apply to us today for this symposium. I will use the IEP's words because I think they describe each pillar the best, right? They created them, their wording, they did an amazing job. So we'll start with a well-functioning government. That is one of the pillars. 1 second. So we have the IEP says a well-functioning government delivers high-quality public and civil services, engenders trust and participation, demonstrates political stability, and upholds the rule of law. So for here, we want to think about what is your local and national government doing? Are they listening to the people? Do they have methods to receive feedback? Do they listen? Are they responsive? You have a question, and do they provide services equitably to everyone, or do they discriminate based on a certain group of people for any reason? Discrimination could take off many different forms, but does the local government give out fair punishment for crimes, for to follow the law? Or again, are they favoring some over others? And this is all part of a well-functioning government. So this is some examples, definitely not everything. Another one is sound business environment. So we have here the strength of economic conditions, as well as the formal institutions that support the operation of the private sector. Business competitiveness and economic productivity are both associated with the most peaceful countries and are key to a robust business environment. So here we want to think about fair and ethical business practices. Does that seem like something that you have in your community? Or in any community, that is one of the markers of a sound business environment. Or is there equal opportunity for the hiring process? Is everyone granted the same opportunity? Are they given the same pay? Are they given the same structures within the job? Is there a limited number of businesses monopolizing to support competition? So are there any big companies that are driving out the smaller businesses, taking away opportunity, taking away diversification of goods? So part of a thriving economy is choice, right? So you can choose to buy something from one place instead of the other. And if you don't like it, you can speak out and say, actually, I really prefer this process, or they're cheaper over here. And sometimes it's difficult to do that if there's little to no competition, if there's a monopoly. So that's an important driver of positive peace. Another pillar of positive peace is equitable distribution of resources. So the peaceful countries tend to ensure equity in access to resources such as education, health, and to a lesser extent, equity in income distribution. So here we bring up fair pay again. And I should mention that all of these are intertwined. As you see in the graphic that we're sharing now, they are all intertwined. The lines in the middle connect to each other. And on this, around the sides in the circle. So fair pay is there in good business practices. It's there in equitable distribution of resources. It's there in some other places as well. Is there equal opportunity to healthcare access? That's also very important. If the people feel like they can get medical help when they need, no matter who they are, where they come from. What about equal housing opportunities? Again, who are they? Where do they come from? Where are they allowed to live? Or is even that an issue? So sometimes some people may feel, oh, I'm not allowed to go over there. I can't do it. And that's not a good thing. You should not ever feel like you have to ask for permission to live anywhere or to visit anywhere. So just some examples again of what constitutes positive peace. These are all, as I mentioned above or earlier, sorry. These are all the attitudes, institutions, and structures that create and sustain positive societies. So we're just going through some of the elements, and we have the next one here, acceptance of the rights of others. That is one of the pillars that applies today. So the IEP says about acceptance of the rights of others that peaceful nations enforce formal laws that guarantee basic human rights and freedoms and the informal social and cultural norms that relate to behaviors of citizens. So the acknowledgement of human rights of everyone, this is critical. And this must be evident in a society that no one is better than another. Everyone has certain inalienable rights for existence, for presence, and formal and informal protections. Are there laws in place? Are there social norms that are in place for women, girls, and traditionally marginalized genders and communities of people? What avenues do they have to speak out about any kind of injustice, about any kind of misunderstanding, about any kind of discrimination? Do they have a way to seek such protection? Who do they go to? And can they trust who they go to? This is very important for these communities of people who feel marginalized. They feel the government, they feel the people have left them behind. And how do they fix that? How do they come out from that feeling and feel vindicated and feel present, feel like they don't have to ask permission to be anywhere? Does the community accept this? Do the community accept the rights? Is there dialogue among the community, among people on the ground? Do the citizens, do they display an understanding of human rights? Do they display an acceptance of human rights? Do they think that others who don't look like them have the same rights as them? Do they engage in dialogue? Do they talk about this issue? say, we've seen some people have some problems. We should speak up about it. We should organize. We should protest. We should stand up for others. It is important. Several issues are interrelated. So when something is happening to one group of people, it is important that others stand up for that group of people, even if you are not in the group that's experiencing the discrimination. This shows alliance. This shows solidarity. And it matters to people who are experiencing discrimination or ignorance or hate or just not realizing that they have rights. And another one that we are working with today is good relations with neighbors. So the IEP says harmonious relations with other countries or between ethnic, religious, and cultural groups within a country are vital for peace. Countries with positive internal and external relations are more peaceful and tend to be more politically stable, have better functioning governments, are regionally integrated, and have lower levels of organized internal conflict. So here we can consider open borders between neighboring nations. What is the relationship between those nations around? Are they positive? Are they strained? Is there free visitation? Can people exchange skills, services? Can they cross the border at will? Can they come back at will? What is the community treatment of refugees? So refugees may come from the neighboring country, or they may come from a country across the world. But neighbors in today's global world does not necessarily mean right next to you. Neighbor is global. So it's important that if someone comes from anywhere and they need asylum, they come as a refugee, what is the treatment of them? How does the community interact with these refugees? How do they make them feel welcomed? Or do they make them feel welcomed? What is the relationship between a refugee looking for work and a citizen looking for work? Is there any issue? Is there any problem there? Does one feel like they deserve the opportunities more than the refugee? Is that something that's happening? Or is it equal? Is it an experience of positivity? Hey, welcome to our country. We're happy to have you here. Sorry you've experienced hardship in your life, and we know you're our new neighbors. So is it an attitude of welcoming a new neighbor? Because that's what it is, right? A refugee coming to your community, it's your new neighbor. So something to think about. Is there a community attitude of sharing and collaboration? So sharing across borders, sharing across communities, sharing across the neighborhood. Is there healthy competition and that's respectful? Do people team and partner together to collaborate on projects? Maybe community projects, or maybe there's a competition going on, like a spelling contest. Is there collaboration there between people? Some things to think about. So we move on to another. Free flow of information. This is another one that is part of our symposium today. We have the first, acceptance of the rights of others and good relations with neighbors that will comprise our first panel. And then we lead into the content for our second panel. Part of that is free flow of information. So the IEP describes this as the free and independent media disseminates information in a way that leads to greater knowledge and helps individuals, business, and civil society make better decisions. This leads to better outcomes and more rational responses in times of crises. So, are there information channels of uncensored media in the community? Can you turn the news on? Can you listen to the radio? Can you watch the television? Can you get on social media freely? And what do you see? Is it truth? Is it fair? And do you feel like you have a voice? Are you hearing something that makes sense to you? This is all some things to think about. Is there equal access to free information? Can anyone access it, or do they have to be in a certain class of people or receive a certain access code, or do they have to attend a certain university or work at a certain employment office? Are there any special considerations to accessing free and open media? And by media, I mean all forms of information. So broadcasting, podcasts, radio, social media, maybe there's a news feed. There's, I'm sure I'm not listing everything. Just however people get the information in your community. Is it free and open? And is this an open, positive, and productive communication? So the person who is telling you the news, who you are listening to on your media, are they promoting an open, positive, and productive communication? Are they being respectful when they report the news? Are they listening to all sides of the issue? Are they promoting acceptance, respect, understanding? Are they addressing an issue that's relevant to you? Do you feel like you have a voice? Are you learning something? Is this something that you feel is valuable, that you want to hear? Just some things to think about in the free flow of information. So we move on to the next one, high levels of human capital. So free flow of information and high levels of human capital comprise our second panel today. The IEP describes high levels of human capital as a skilled human capital base that reflects the extent to which societies educate citizens and promote the development of knowledge, thereby improving economic productivity, care for the young, political participation, and social capital. So when we think about this, what comes to mind for me is community engagement as one piece. That are the people active in their community? Are they volunteering with organizations? Are they donating their money? Also volunteering can be considered donating your time. So are they donating their time? Are they donating their money? Are they advocating for others? This is relates back to another one where if something is happening to another group, another marginalized gender or community of people that is other than your own, are you taking action to stand up for them? Or are you sitting by and saying, oh, I'm glad it's not me, right? Is that something that's happening? So there are very different reactions. So one thing to consider is safety, right? Does someone feel safe enough to help another? Or are they willing to help another? And what does that mean if someone is helping another, right? Does this create positivity? It creates acceptance, welcoming. This is important for people to know that they have people standing up for them. What about the participation in local and national elections? Do people vote? Are there free and fair elections that allow this? That's part of a well-functioning government. So again, it overlaps. But if assuming that a citizen has the ability to vote, do they take advantage of this right? And some would say it's a privilege. Some would say it's a right. I think it varies by your point of view and by your country. But what is not negotiable is having a voice in your community. So part of human capital is engaging in the community, engaging in elections. What about the workforce? Is the workforce educated and skilled in some way? Is there a certain level of competency and confidence and belief in oneself to get an education, get certifications, and go to work and have the skills necessary to complete their job? This is part of human capital. So we now come to the last one here. Now, by no means is this the least important pillar. This is a circle. As you see on the screen here, there is no hierarchy. This is how I read this as the IEP, the Institute of Economics and Peace, has listed it on their website. So I am trying to stay as true to the website as possible. This is their work. For a high levels of human capital, a skilled human capital, apologies. Going back to low levels of corruption, sorry about that. So in societies with high levels of corruption, resources are inefficiently allocated, often leading to a lack of funding for essential services, which in turn can lead to dissatisfaction and civil unrest. Low corruption can enhance confidence and trust in institutions, as well as improve the efficiency of business and the competitiveness of the country. This is corruption. Now, corruption is everywhere. We've seen it. But what makes a positive society is low levels of corruption. We're not saying no corruption. That's the ideal, of course, but we will work with low corruption. Is fraud protection and reporting mechanisms in place. If someone sees fraud or hears about it, do they have any recourse to report it? How can the government, how can the people, how can institutions, how can businesses protect against corruption in your community? The tax money, is this, does the government, does the county, does the city properly allocate tax money to the services it should? Or do they pocket it for themselves? Is there a reporting and follow-up mechanism for reporting unethical business practices? This is another example to think about. If you're working someplace or you know someone who is, and they are not doing a very good, they're operating unethically inside the company, is there a way to speak up, blow the whistle on the company? Or if you are shopping and you're interacting with a business in some way, maybe not shopping, maybe you're seeking the services, and you see that something is wrong. Maybe you feel like you've been discriminated against, or you see someone else being discriminated against. Maybe it's the money you paid for a service, you don't receive the services in return, or you receive subpar services in return. Then there's something that is wrong here. And is there a way to report that this business is not operating ethically from the outside or from the inside? And then is there a way to follow up on that? What happens when you report? Does the business receive a mark that they need to clean up their act? Are they given a free pass? Say, oh, well, whatever it is, we're fine. Maybe this business donates money to the campaign of a political worker. That's a form of corruption. And then that would take away from the reporting and follow-up. There could be a way of reporting, but maybe there's not follow-up. All parts of corruption. And so that concludes the 8 pillars of positive peace from the Institute of Economics and Peace. I want to go ahead and just talk a little bit about the definition of peace, a positive peace. So earlier I mentioned that positive peace is more than the absence of violence. And we went through these 8 pillars. And right now it can seem pretty conceptual. But when you think about projects, initiatives, and you think, okay, how is that a peace project? How does that demonstrate positive peace? It's good to think about positive peace in a broad sense. So when you think about maybe there's a, for example, a refugee welcome kits packing party. Maybe there are refugees being resettled in the community, and there's welcome kits that an organization, a local resettlement organization, gives to the refugees, the new neighbors. And there's a project that organizes packing all of these welcome kits to give to the refugees, right? Now that seems like a basic thing, but did you know that's a peace project? Does that sound like a peace project to you? Maybe, maybe not, right? Who actually puts together these welcome kits? Is it everyone in the community? Are children invited? Are the elderly invited? Are traditionally marginalized communities invited? Are your friends invited? Is there anyone who's not invited? Or is there anyone who's not allowed to participate for any reason? So that is one way that you can make sure to apply some of these pillars to a positive peace project. Definitely, maybe not. Possibly you could apply all of them to a peace project, but that's not required. If you can apply one or more to a project, that is ideal. And that constitutes a peace project. Now, of course, the more you apply, or the more that you see in evidence, this is good, right? You want it to cover as many as you can, if possible, because then you know it is a well-rounded, true, positive peace project. And this is just something that you can do yourself, one step to creating a more peaceful society. So another project could be maybe you're volunteering with a homeless population. Maybe you're giving out free supplies. Maybe you're working at a homeless shelter. Maybe you're restocking a pantry, for a food pantry. And maybe you feel like, okay, you're just doing something good. You don't know what it means, but did you know that's a peace project, and that means something to the people you are serving? So any kind of peace that you are sustaining. So if there is peace that is evident already and you are working to sustain the peace, that's working towards positive peace. And that's a peace project. Or are you enacting change to cause a society to be more peaceful, or to change from being not peaceful to peaceful? Is there some kind of change in peace levels? This is a positive peace element to project. So something to think about there in the broad definition of peace. Some people may think it's limiting, and I'm just trying to clarify that this is not so. Mother Teresa said, peace begins with a smile. And honestly, that is peace. You could even say that's a peace project, right? If you make it a project to smile at everyone you see, it's contagious. Some of you may already realize how contagious a smile is. You smile to someone when they least expect it. You smile to someone even when they do expect it. And they are more likely to spread that goodwill, spread that happy attitude to others. And the more that spreads, it has a ripple effect, all from a smile, right? So I leave you with that. Peace begins with a smile. And hopefully you all have a better understanding of the Institute for Economics and Peace's 8 pillars of positive peace, which inform our training today. And really quickly, I will tell you the ones that we are focusing on today once more. So we are focusing on the acceptance of the rights of others, good relations with neighbors for our first panel, the free flow of information, and high levels of human capital for our second panel. And thank you all very much for your time today. I know this is a lot of information to tell you at once, and definitely there may be many questions. I am not an expert. I am a messenger. I am working to becoming a peace ambassador with IEP. So I hope to be better able to spread this message in the future. And